Be the last to the lunch table, and you're the first out. You're a ghost. Never a knife. Your shoes are out of the way. To be working in someone's home like that, which just happens to be floating, is a privilege. So you are a ghost. You do everything. Your hands are by your side. You're not touching things as you're walking down the hallways. You're not touching pillows. You're a ghost, and you become no extra weight on anybody, no burden, and you will last a long time. And you just listen. It doesn't matter where you're going. It doesn't matter how long you're going to be in that port. Don't ask any question. It doesn't matter. Your paycheck's coming. The food is on the table from a great chef. Your clothes are being folded from the girls. What else do you want? And you get a paycheck.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you are now about to witness
the journey that is the Life Choices podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to the Life Choices podcast. Here we are. I'm welcoming Owen Doyle. How you doing today, sir?
Excellent. Thank you for having me. Got me out of my office.
You are the CEO and owner, creator of Owen Doyle Provisions.
Correct. When I left my last venture, I had to put my name on it because everybody said, "Where the hell did Owen go?" So actually, that's how Owen Doyle Provisions came up. We are now ODP.
ODP,
a lot easier. We're coming on 14 years.
14 years of ODP.
Yeah, I keep having kids, so I got to keep working.
It's like so true. I know so many people in the industry, and for all of our viewers out there, we were talking about the yachting industry. Both Owen Doyle and myself have been yacht chefs for a great portion of our lives.
Yes.
And most people that I know that do have children, they stay in the industry simply because the financial gain is there.
Yeah, when I went to culinary school, 85 to 87 after leaving Buffalo. Then I went down to hotel school in Miami. That was great. But I wasn't a corporate guy, and I was a big caterer. I told my mother I was just going to do it for the summer in 1989. Here I am.
Here you are, 2024.
Yeah, God, yeah.
Well, it's funny you bring up egos. One of the topics I want to bring up right now that I think you're going to have a great deal to talk about is handling the demands of a private yacht chef. Because I know myself very well, I can be somewhat easy to deal with because I've kind of like let go of my ego. But in our industry, when people work for billionaires, they tend to start believing that they themselves are one of them because they're using their credit cards.
Yes.
And then you, I feel, would have to take a lot of that kind of ego thrown at you when you're just trying to help them get product that they could use on the yacht.
That's absolutely true. I mean, especially when we started it. When I started in my last company, we weren't a food company. There was nobody doing what we did. And I really had to take it on the chin for a long time. I've been now doing it 23 years, so I kind of can push back and mold them and put them in their place where they need to be in a nice way.
Right.
And, I still get the occasional, Michelin star Spanish guy and, the tough Italian guy and the French guy. American guys are pretty cool. They know me. It sets up, but it just takes a delivery or two to have them trust me.
Right, which is obviously, our relationship is quite good because in our community, I just feel the trust is easily given. For me, I'm only speaking for myself because I know that I'm working for someone of wealth that has money on their credit card, and you're dealing with having high-end product that costs money. And I know that as long as I send you the money in a timely fashion, I'm going to get the best quality product I can get, packaged properly, receiving it unbroken. That's phenomenal. So when dealing with multi-million/billionaire people, and I guess most of your contact is directly with the private chefs.
I do a lot of homes. We do a lot of private islands.
Oh, wow.
A lot of camps, a lot of hunting lodges.
Yeah.
And I do get the emails, and they're lovely. I mean, I've been a private chef so long, like yourself, that it doesn't faze me. People are people.
Yeah.
The worst people are really the not really rich people. The really rich people have manners and they generally know what they're doing.
And they know what they want.
And then you never sell them anything. We sell nothing. I source everything.
Right.
I always have. I have hundreds and hundreds of stories of people bringing me beautiful bottles of wine or olive oil from all over the world that want to break into yachting. There's no breaking into yachting. And if they've seen your stuff in Capri at a restaurant, they'll ask me for it and I'll call you. but I'm not going to sell this to them.
Right.
So we just source.
So what would be like the biggest difficulties with some of these private chefs that you deal with? Because they find you, they contact you through all of us because we communicate with each other. What would you say are some difficulties with dealing with them?
Well, you get wave after wave. I've seen the English wave. I was kind of in the English wave when I was the only American. Then the Americans came around. Then the Australians came around. They want their product. Then the Kiwis kind of rocked in there, and now it's all South African, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've tapped on every continent of white labor that can be exploited, hence yachting.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just it's getting into their mindset, using their lingo. Just because you can cook doesn't mean you can order.
Correct.
So what you're calling something from where you are is probably wrong. And so I have to kind of really look it up. Thank God. I mean, there used to be no computers. Now you can look everything up. In the old days, it was difficult. So it was lots of phone calls.
Every time I go to a yacht, if I'm being hired on full time, I always assess the whole galley, right? And usually, unfortunately, and I don't know why this is, most cooks are pigs and are dirty. Because I go into a boat and I open the cupboards and it's just disgusting. And then I always go to the captain who's looking at my CV and I get hired because of the 9 years I spent on one boat, the proven longevity, who I worked with, people, know, and they know it's not an easy person to work with. So people are very quick to like hire me. And so therefore I know my worth. So when I get to the boat and I look at like the disarray of the galley, I always say, listen, here's a couple of options. I said this to one boat. I said, we have two options. I can throw everything out and start fresh, or I could just leave right now. And that's it. And honestly, that captain said, no, we got to get ready for a boss trip in 2 weeks. I said, perfect. Thank you. Everything.
Dried basil from Winn-Dixie 7 years ago.
Dude, they had like liquid in buckets in the walk. Like I sat in the crew mess, the fridge door open, the walk-in fridge, and I could smell the disgustingness of it. Oh, yeah. And I watched crew coming out with like pieces of fruit and eating it. And I was just like, no, white and black mold all through the fridge.
There's the cooks.
Yeah.
There's the chefs, and then there's the super chefs.
Right. Right.
And
well, let's talk about that right now, because you spent a great deal of your time on boats. Yeah. I've spent 16 years doing it myself. I find that there's a lot of people that because they go to culinary school that they think, and maybe it's the generational situation right now.
It's worse now.
Oh, yes, because I hired a sous chef that I can't I had to explain to him how to boil an egg.
Yeah.
Which again, the people, I don't want to take them out of context, but when I boil an egg for deviled eggs, when the egg gets cut in half, I don't want to see any gray on the yolk, right? Yeah. So why not cook it just a little bit less so you have a nice yellow yolk?
Right.
And the audacity that I had to tell him that, like, oh, I don't know how to cook it. Dude, more than once have I seen gray on the egg. I'm sure you dealt with it in
lettuce.
Yeah.
It's training them, and that is part of my job. I mean, it's probably one of my favorite things is I like to nurture my chefs, watch them grow. And it's spectacular because that way the trust is huge, no matter where it goes. And then they step out. Everyone steps out. And then they come back. So I generally laugh when I'm out. And then 3 years later, I'm back. I said, well, I'm still here. I have an 8-year-old. So I've got about 10 more years of doing this.
Got to keep making the Benjamins. Yeah. It is important about what you just brought up, though, is relationships in our community of yachting. A lot of people burn bridges. They think they're bigger than they are. And you need to be humble and understand that there are lots of people out there that will help you or hurt you.
Yes.
And if you don't build the right relationships, you might actually be putting up a lot of walls as you're trying to navigate through this very interesting career called yachting.
Incestual.
Yeah.
Called incestual.
Yeah.
In a way, it's good because I'm in it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to come and compete with me from the outside, it's very difficult because we're trusted. I think you're absolutely right on that. You have to watch your steps. I mean, you burn a provisioner. If any of my colleagues get burned by a particular vessel, whether it's in St. Martin or Antigua or even in the Med, we speak. So now you come across the pond, thinking you're high and mighty because you're on a big white boat. you're going to be treated a lot differently over here.
Well, yeah. I mean, the best thing to do is, and this is like
I'm going to need a credit card before I see the order.
100%. And that's why, like, the last gig that I had, or that I do have, I guess you could say, I took over from someone who had been using you, and why would I change things of that nature if it's already a well-oiled machine? And then we vaguely knew each other from one or two orders I may have done on other boats. And what we did is we maintained the relationship that was built with the, let's call it the vessel, and you. But just because I came in switching them the chefs didn't skip a beat on the relationship that was built between your company and, let's just call it, the owners, because they're the overseeing body and they're the one that actually pay you.
Right.
And what I do every time is I always hit you up afterwards, like, hey, did you get paid? Hey, did you get paid? No, you didn't get paid. Let me email. Because in our industry, there's so many bodies involved in anything, for approvals and for sending money and getting this done. But if you always have that open line of communication so that the one entity understands the other entity is doing what they can to get it going, then that relationship gets to grow, not just stay. And then because we know in this industry, you stay where you are because you're the provisioner, you're getting us the product. But as a chef, I can go to a multiple of different boats, or I might end up one day going with a family or whatever. And if I don't treat you well through that process, anytime I go to a new vessel, I could be screwing that vessel over because I won't be able to use you if I treated you incorrectly.
Yes.
So relationships in the yachting industry is absolutely important. We jumped away from the topic about those who don't know what they're doing but pretend they do.
That's my ADD. It's okay.
No, that's me too, because there's so many conversations in my brain at all times. I want to hit all the topics in like a quick 1 hour. What is the most difficult situation that you can think of, anecdote or story, that you've had to deal with all of your years of running and provisioning?
Getting requests from people who aren't not organized, and they think it just appears very quickly, but they don't realize how long it takes to procure. Meat's easy, seafood easy, produce easy. It's the shopping. Some of the most demanding tasks are monstrous lists given to you at the last minute with a great client, and it's usually the other department that jumps in, and that's how my chefs are. I've had them long enough, or I speak to them pretty frankly. I carry a lot of inventory. That's what I have learned to do ever since my last company and moving in. I'm one of the few guys that carries a ton of inventory. Having a lot of inventory, being ready for it, we've never really had issues. Sometimes it's, can you drop this in the Dominican? No, Dominican is off. I used to try. It's heartache and it's a lot of money. Costa Rica just got shut down. That we used to have that pretty tight, but my main guy there kind of moved on.
Okay.
The back doors are shut. But I've dropped things into Hong Kong. I've sent to Saudi. I've sent to Dubai, Marshall Islands. That was probably one of my most challenging shipments of produce to the Marshall Islands. It was 7-day transit.
Wow.
And we won.
Really?
Yeah, because it never left the hull of the plane. So it went all the way Miami, Atlanta, Tokyo, Guam, off Guam into big coolers in giant EHs. I hand packed every box. I think the shipping was close to 70,000 for 30,000 worth of product, but they didn't care.
They wanted it.
And then it got moved from Guam. I punched out and said, please pay me. It's all yours now. And then they moved it to the Marshall Islands, which was another 9-hour flight. But we made it. Those are those very nail biting circumstances.
Yeah.
But when you do it and you get the response from your client to say, you just saved the charter, you just saved Christmas, that's what makes it worth it.
Right. Well, again, what we do for a living is we change people's emotion through food.
Correct.
And that, like, people don't understand what I'm about to say here. It's not the paycheck. Yes, we need the money. We got to pay bills. We're all humans here. We have electricity and kids.
Correct.
But the reality is, and it's the same thing across the board for chefs, that feeling that you get from someone when they're so grateful and so thankful for what you've given them.
Correct.
That, to me, it like fills my cup up.
Yeah, and it rolls down to me.
Yeah.
And it rolls down to the guys who work with me, and I tell them, man, we just did that.
Yeah.
Then they realize we can do anything. Like when we do something like that, I can put it on the ground anywhere in the world.
Isn't that crazy?
Can it come off? So I'll tell you, pay me. I'll put it on the ground in Ukraine if you want, but I can't guarantee it's going to make it to your house.
Right. But I can get it to that country.
I'll drop it on the tarmac. It's up to you now to pick it up. But pay me before it gets out of the plane, please.
Which is so important for us chefs that are on yachts, because we can have such demanding bosses or guests that are coming on board, and those specialty items that we can't always get when we're in the middle of an ocean or in a country that just doesn't have that product. To have someone like yourself that can actually deliver that to us in a period of time so that we can put forth in front of a guest a plate of absolute gorgeousness, it makes everyone look good.
It does, and that's half of it are those, those Rice Krispie trackers and all the rich people eating disorders that come along with it.
Whatever Cosmopolitan says is what you should be eating this week is the newest diet, and then that is truth. Yeah,
exactly. You need 4 of everything, and there's 320 line items like I'm about to step into when we leave.
Right.
Because they have to have it, and the dates all have to be correct, and that's the challenging bit. Yes, that's the part that my shoppers are spectacular. They're date monsters. They move quickly.
Yeah.
We have to touch everything 7 times by the time it leaves our house. Leaves our house to get to yours.
The shopping is ridiculous. Like I know, like when I just go to like the normal shop, like just get everything for a week trip in the Bahamas, and I got to go Whole Foods, Publix, Fortune Cookie, which is like my Asian guy up here in Lake Worth. I'm 3 hours just in Publix. I got a lady at Whole Foods that used to run she created the yachting provisioning at Whole Foods, and she now does the Amazon section of it. But she still takes care of me and 2 other chefs because we built that relationship.
Right.
And so I just sent her an email, and I show up with a credit card, swipe it, and go. It saves me time. But the amount of hours that it takes, which people don't understand, to just facilitate gathering the product. So, and you say now so ODP has been established for how many years?
Actually, we're going on 13.
13 years of doing it. And your facilities in Delray?
Delray, we're in between Palm Beach and Lauderdale.
Yeah.
My vans have access there. They move quickly. Thank goodness for this HOV lane that has been created.
Love it. Yeah.
Oh, for my guys, it makes a difference. We're down in Miami very quickly.
13 years ago, because of the forced holiday.
Correct.
The $160,000 forced holiday.
When you leave a job, some things can happen.
Yeah. I mean, hey, listen, I left a job after 9 years and I was good for 6 months.
Right.
So it happens.
Yeah, exactly.
But there you are, 13 years ago. Did you already have an idea to create your own company, or was this kind of after the fact of, holy shit, life is changing right now?
The water started to get really rough, and we both decided it was time to go, and we did it properly and stepped out. But as it is in America, anybody can hammer anybody. And, I threw the rock through the glass, pyramid that I'd helped build.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the best thing I could have ever done. It was difficult as hell.
Scary as fuck.
Going through divorce with my first wife,
right.
2 children, going back on a yacht with my girlfriend,
mm-hmm.
and getting sued
all at the same
the
time.
biggest player in the industry. And it was pretty amazing, like to actually go back and cook at 40 years old on a 200 footer. And the sous chef was one of my clients, and he was spectacular. He carried me because of his knife skills. He was Asian, Singapore guy. He was great. And we chartered like a machine, and we ended up buying 4 yachts within that time frame, that 16 months I was there. And they wanted us to stay because, I became the house guy. My wife became the personal. And we just said, no, we don't want any of that. We're starting a company. With what? I don't know. I had 2 kids in Catholic school, an ex-wife, a house. We were busting our butt, and we ended up opening ODP on a credit card.
Wow.
On a credit card, and a friend gave me a little space in his warehouse that I used to help previously. And after 3 months with him, he said, "You're getting too busy. You need to leave."
I mean, what the best way of saying something like that.
Exactly.
Time to move on because you're good at what you're doing.
And I was able to turn him down to all my years of contacts. We turned him on to Rouget, Boiron, Valrhona. I mean, I did every food show for 10 years. I did every slaughterhouse. I've seen everything whacked and processed. So I got to meet everybody, before internet.
Yeah.
And so I have those book of cards, and Actually, I think I left him behind.
You probably have a Rolodex.
I don't know. I do have like wine crates full of cards, believe it or not. And it's fun to pull them up. Half of them are dead or people who started companies
Oh, geez.
or just animals in this business. But, it started one at a time and did it myself. And I still deliver. I was in Turkey, in 1990, in Kusadasi, dragging as much grocery back to I can to our yacht, with pockets full of cash. I've been in, Kazakhstan doing the same on private jets, and so hence that's where I became a provisioner because I got tired of doing it all myself.
Right.
There was no one out there doing it besides Luigi in San Remo, who's,
Okay.
he's the godfather of Mensueto. He's the godfather of all provisioners. And he's still doing it. Luigi's got to be 65 now.
Wow. Yeah, your Rolodex must be absolutely phenomenal.
It's
your boxes of contacts.
Boxes of cards, yeah. When you see people start up and watch people fade away or people who exploded, it's pretty neat to see.
Well, I think it's fair to say in any industry at all, whenever someone is trying to start something, it's scary as fuck when you're starting it, especially when the financial ability is not massive.
Right.
That's why I do the yachting, because it allows me a paycheck to cover my business. Correct. As I'm starting it. But it's the follow through, the dedication, the drive, and the willingness to understand that you can see yourself 10 years from now where you're going to be. Because 13 years ago, you had no idea. And you are, without a doubt, one of the top 3 provisioners that most yacht chefs go to. You'll always have the other ones that are very popular in South Florida.
Correct.
But they're all very cookie cutter, regardless of size.
Right.
And they all kind of, I feel like with you, I can get that higher level of product. And for me, because I know what my boss wants, it's easy for me to call you up and say, hey, listen, I need that caviar, that best caviar that I can find, and you'll get it to me. But you won't just sell it to me. Because I remember a conversation we had. You said to me, listen, I'm only going to get you this many of them this week, because if you need more on this date, I want to send you fresher stuff when you need it, rather than sending you now, and if you don't use it, it's not going to be as good quality.
Yeah, we're not about the sale. It's not about the sale. And in regards, get back to the other provisioners, they're employees.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the owner,
right?
And I was a chef, and I still am a chef.
Mm-hmm.
And my employees are chefs. So we take it really to heart. And being the private chef as you have, I will answer to any owner. Because I have no problem. Every invoice that I send out, I look over. That's why sometimes my invoicing gets a little late, because I have to look at everything, adjust here where we can. We can make a little more here. I don't like that. I'm going to give that a cost. I give a lot of stuff at cost, because if I get burned up from my purveyor, I just got to move it across. Because it's about long term. But I can justify any of my invoices to any owner at any time.
Yeah.
It's not just send a bill and run, which, I know how the other places work. I built it.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted that control. Hence, I'm doing it for myself. And I don't know anything else, so I don't know where else I would go. I've literally pulled the reins back on ODP for the last 7 years, 8 years. I came out of the gate really hot because I had to get my traction. Then I had another child and another child. So I have 2. I have 12 and 8 with my wife, Natalie. And I slowed down. And I've just kind of come looking at him turning 57.
Congratulations.
Thank you. In a couple of days.
Wow.
And I just kind of looked at it and went, where am I going to be? I've never had that, where am I going to be? But I kind of have now. And I said, no one's going to buy me because we work too hard. I've brought many chefs in who are actually still clients of mine who came with me at my old company. Like, I want a land job. I said, well, come on in here.
Yeah.
And they've left. You work too hard. We're not doing this.
Yeah. Well, and unfortunate, a lot of people don't understand that fucking hard work, that level of consistent hard work is what's needed to build the empire that you wanted.
You have to.
Yeah.
We never do it for money. I mean, people look around and go, oh my God, the money. That's like, I hear that all the time. I'm thinking, I don't do it for the money, man. I've got a lot of expenses.
Mm-hmm.
I live a comfortable life with one house. I don't have 8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wouldn't want 8.
But which is funny, because with what you do for a living, net worth, you probably could have more luxuries than you do.
Yeah.
Because I look at you right now, we're pretty much the same chill vibe going on, which I was like, I'm not shocked at all because the conversations we have on the phone, I feel like I'm talking to myself most of the time. And I notice that as I get older in years, I'm 46, just turned 46 last month. I notice that the more I do, the less I want.
Correct.
I'm happy with what I have. And what I want more money for is to do more for others. Correct. Which is a weird concept for people like, oh, shut up. You want money. Like, you know, like I said before, I want to pay my bills 100%. I want to make sure my mom never has to worry about anything. I want to make sure my dog has food. I have food.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? But I've said it so many times, I have a beat up 87 F-150. I don't need the Lamborghini.
Right.
And I'm going to have money. Like, I know that because like you 13 years ago, you're now in a position that you could if you wanted to, but you're okay with what you have.
At least with my credit.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's all you need in this world is credit, right? You can sign and get a finance of anything.
Right.
But like for me, in 10 years, in 13 years of doing this, I know where I'm going to be. I know what my net worth is going to be because that consistent discipline of hard work is instilled up here. And nothing's going to stop me to get there, just like nothing stopped you to get where you are.
Correct. 7 days a week, man.
That's it.
That's all I think. You know, you're constantly in communication.
Yeah.
Because you know the yachts, there's no such thing as a holiday.
Fuck no.
You don't even know it's Christmas, but you're blowing my phone up on Christmas and I answer it.
Yeah.
And my company is 15 minutes away from my home purposely because there's always that guy that needs the invoice on Christmas morning. And
let's be honest, in a 24-hour period, I take 6 hours of sleep. I don't know what you get, 7 or 8.
Yeah, I'm a 6er.
Okay, so 18 hours are left in a day. And even if you have what's called a day off and you're with your spouse or your kids or whatever, you got an hour if you need to go get something done for the livelihood of your household.
Absolutely.
And why people don't think that, they're like, oh, it's my day off, I'm not going to answer my phone. It's like, you're going to say no to opportunity?
No, exactly.
That makes zero sense to me.
And hence, that puts us ahead of everybody else where the others don't answer the phone on the weekend.
Right.
Everyone knows they don't want to bother me, but I don't consider it a bother because you're reaching out to me because you need something.
Yeah.
And if I can do it, I will get it. You know, I can count of probably 36, 48 chefs that I have taken, like yourself, and put you in a situation that you can't use me. I know you can't use me. I know they don't use provisioners or they're in bed with somebody else because the captain said, you know, the other guy's his best friend. I'm fine. You need a paycheck.
Yeah.
Because the goodwill that comes through that, I have found that 100-fold come back to me. I constantly get young cooks, young people coming. Somehow I'm like, I have the South African Army right now. It's spectacular. I don't know how I am the South African Army leader.
Yeah.
And these kids they've got the energy, they've got the drive, the love for food. And my job is to educate them what they can get here in America.
I feel like I'm so modest in what I look for only because I believe in the simplicity of food. And I think like the high crazy stuff that I do would be like the caviar because I know I love caviar.
I do too.
I love squash blossoms, which are hard to find sometimes.
I've got growers right here. I'm going to put you on
the
next podcast.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
That would love to talk to you.
I'm going to bring this back to relationships. Over the past 3 months, we've created a friendship. And I love it because you're right away saying, oh, I've got this person for you and this person for you for your podcast, which has nothing to do with the yachting industry. It just happens that this conversation is that. And that's why I'm a strong believer that building the right relationships, regardless of what industry you're in.
Absolutely.
And like you're saying, it's that goodwill. You might move on to something bigger, but I'm going to help you get there. And why not? Are we not all here for the same reason, to be happy?
Yeah, exactly. It's not everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's not everybody's built like that, but I find it best.
Yeah.
You know, I've gotten the karma to come back. I've gotten the support from all my friends and clients. And, you know, I there's a day I cannot answer my phone because I'm trying to help somebody.
Yeah.
You know, and I love, there's money in it, but I've got bills.
Right.
If you think, you know, once in a while you look around and go, man, we're so busy. Or my guys are like, oh man, that was a huge order. And I'm thinking, you want to see my insurance bill, dude?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I can only imagine because like the facility with the fridges and the freezers, and you have to, just in case, and I don't know much about the insurance level that you would have to have, but if something were to break down, if a fridge goes down, that's a lot. Like you said, you have a lot of inventory. That's a lot to fucking worry about.
Yeah, generators. You stay on it. You know?
Yeah.
And my guys, you know, anybody I hire has to be full on vetted. They have to have the passion for what we do.
Right.
Everybody has access to my facility. The boys will come in on a weekend, if their hours are in line. I've got guys that I'm coming in on Saturday and we are taking care of all this. And how nice is that? It took me years and years to get that. I
It's
have kids
hard.
and I have to wake up who are drunk, like,
Yeah.
oh my God, it's 4 a.m. Why aren't you delivering that plane? Oh man, my alarm. So
Yeah.
it takes a while, growing pains, where I'm on pins and needles at 4:30 in the morning, not seeing my alarm code
Right.
disarm.
Right. I got someone in there doing the job.
If that phone's not ringing, I'm in there at 4:30 loading a van and hauling ass down to a plane that's going to an island.
It's hard to find good help. I think it always has been, regardless what decade, what generation it is. It's hard when you have a work ethic to find people with the same work ethic, because individuals think they have a work ethic until they work with someone who works hard. And then it's completely different.
I'm 20 years older than them.
Yeah. Well, that was my hurdle recently. 20 years older than the individual, knew everything about everything, knew every technique. And it's like, dude, I don't think you realize that you're working with someone that's 32 years of cooking, 16 years on boats.
Right.
I have some experience, and in life as well. Like, I've survived 46 years of being on this rock.
Yeah, exactly.
So stop trying to know everything, and also understand that some of the shit comes from doing the job, not the textbook.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think a lot of people might forget. But I want to get back to the point you were talking about, is no days off, what day of the week it is, answering your phone. For me, I want to thank you for that, because 1,000,000,000% when I'm working every day, they all end in Y.
Right.
There's no Friday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, like that shit, whatever. It's a work day. It's a work day. And I do absolutely, I feel a little bad when I'm like, fuck, it's Sunday. Is it Sunday? It is. Okay, but I got fucking 35 people here today, and fuck, okay, here it is. Boom. And I get a response within a reasonable amount of time. And it's like, yo, dude, I'm not at the shop, but let me call someone and we'll get it done for you.
Right.
And that's huge. That's huge.
That's the service industry. It's all we know, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I always brings things back to like the Mamba mentality, Kobe, basketball NBA player.
Yeah.
He always talked about the Mamba mentality, and he always talked about, how he woke up early at like 3 a.m. or whatever and hit the gym. He did a gym session or two gym sessions before, they all met up at the actual court to do the team gym session. And like you're saying, if you're the one available to receive that phone call on what's called a weekend, you're going to do more business because you're available for the people. That's just basically saying you're showing up to practice before practice.
Yes.
And that's why people like myself will not just always call on you to get the job done, but any chef that comes my way, any new chef in the industry that's like, hey, listen, where would I go to get this, that, and the other? I'll be like, call my guy Owen.
I appreciate that.
He'll fix you up, no problem. And I'll be honest, I'd be like, listen, I've used all these other places, but I rely on him because he gets the job done on days that no one else will. And that's huge.
We don't want all your business. Basically, if I find you're sitting on a yacht somewhere at LMC, I'm going to say, go shopping. I don't want to shop for you.
Right. Because you're going to the same store.
And I do it all. I push more business away than some people look at me like, why? Like, let them go shopping. When you're stuck on a rock in the Bahamas or God knows, I will get it.
Yeah.
Then we will go get it. Outwork everybody.
That is the big key right there. Thank you.
I tell my son, and I'm going to put him on a yacht. I've always told him, be the last of the lunch table and you're the first out. You're a ghost. Never a knife. Your shoes are out of the way. To be working in someone's home like that, which just happens to be floating, is a privilege. So you are a ghost. You do everything. Your hands are by your side. You're not touching things as you're walking down the hallways. You're not touching pillows. You're a ghost, and you become no extra weight on anybody, no burden, and you will last a long time. And just listen. Doesn't matter where you're going. It doesn't matter how long you're going to be in that port. Don't ask any question. It doesn't matter. Your paycheck's coming. The food is on the table from a great chef. Your clothes are being folded from the girls. What else do you want? And you get a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're in Capri. So go enjoy yourself.
What amazing advice. That whole segment right there. I mean, those are the most perfect words you could tell someone about our industry. High school never ends, unfortunately, for people. There's always going to be people that cause drama. There's always going to be people that talk shit. And being the ghost is very important.
go, man.
Yeah.
Even when I went back, it was funny. As a big character as I am, and I went back through, and now I'm the chef, and I'm the most hated man through half the industry, and the most wanted man from the other half. And here I am cooking. So I knew everybody, and so they all wanted to come eat my food. That was pressure.
Yeah.
Like, son of a bitch. They all know I'm here.
Right,
So
right.
They all came to the NT. I didn't win the show, but I think I won over their hearts. And then we got 5 weeks of charter. The rest was history. But
wow.
That was kind of fun. But I was just cooking, and they love the fact that interaction that I would come out and speak about everything, and I won them over. It was probably doing it for long enough, being comfortable in front of yacht owners and not in charter guests and rich people. And that they're just people.
Yeah. 100%.
They're just people. If you want to come in and show me how to do the red sauce that your mother makes, please come and show me.
Yeah.
Teach me. It makes my life so much easier.
Yeah, I don't have to think.
Kicking something back.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to say this. I wish I had met you in 2008, and I wish you had been cooking on a boat, and I wish I could have been a sous chef with you, because I feel like, and you've said this before, being a mentor is, I think you would have been an amazing mentor for me, because I feel the same way. I've never been nervous to cook for a billionaire, because they hired me on their boat. So they've done their vetting and know that you can do the job. My nervousness was when I was doing a restaurant with an owner's hospitality team, and I came together with them. We did a bunch of R&D, and then we went to the yacht one night because we were trying to hire a general manager, and we wanted to kind of razzle dazzle him on the yacht. So now here I am cooking for my peers, a bunch of foodies. And that was my nervous moment. Now, knocked it out of the park because I just cooked, and there was no menu. I just did appetizers. I did, I think 4 or 5 different things afterwards. There was no main dish. It was just try this, and then dessert.
Small plates.
Yeah, and I loved it. But that was the time I was nervous, not cooking for the billionaires. When I order, I just order. I order everything that I need for the fridge, all produce that's available, so that while I'm cooking, because shit changes, or something's gone bad and I can't use that in the soup or whatever. What I love is what most people don't understand is they think that we have all these go-to recipes and all these things that we've done for years, but no, we cook. So sometimes we just go look in the fridge and, okay, we're going to do a soup. We have no fucking clue what soup we're going to do. And we just start cooking, and then all of a sudden a soup goes out and the guests are like, wow, man, can I get that recipe? 100%. First time I ever made it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love that. That's the feeling. Like, I love that feeling.
Yeah, just let it freehand.
Yeah.
Just let it flow. And I have a lot of sympathy for a lot of my chefs who have to pound out menus.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were young kids that kind of started that menu thing. But now you're getting this new group of wives, second and third wives, the scorched earth policy. And they come in and they want the menus and they want to razzle dazzle their friends. I was very fortunate to sidestep all that in my yachting career. I would interview the yacht and the owner as much as I was being interviewed.
Makes sense.
Just, how rich are you?
Are you new money or are you old money?
Exactly. How many planes do you have? How many homes do you have? Like, what is my role here? Am I just on the yacht, or am I going to be in Geneva? Where am I living? And then when you work for people with everything, they know exactly what they want. So your idea is just to listen.
100%. And what I've noticed is when you work for those individuals that know what they want, they're going to give you what you want.
Yes.
Because if you show them that you know your worth and they value your worth, then they're going to work with you to keep you.
Yes.
And that to me is the biggest compliment ever. Family I worked for 9 years. I mean, I watched the kids grow up. The youngest kid was 13, I think, when I when they bought the vessel I worked on. The youngest child was 13 years old. 9 years later, he's like 22 years old. And is my math right on that? 79. Yeah, something like that. And, the biggest thing was I loved them. Like, I really did. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed watching these kids grow up. The youngest boy was given the boat for his 18th birthday graduation from high school to go to the Bahamas. And he wasn't going to use the boat. So I had flown into the city that they do a lot of business in. And I was flying back here with the son. It was two of us and one other trainer on the plane. And we have a conversation. I was like, hey, so-and-so, are you going to do the trip? Like, your mom has told us that you're allowed to take the boat to the Bahamas for, you and your buddies for high school graduation. He's like, well, I'm not really sure. I was like, dude, come on, man. Like, think about it. Like, what we do for your family, right? So like, you're going to get to have the boat by yourself with your buddies for a week in the Bahamas, where legal age drinking is 18, and you've got the crew. You got like, we're gonna do what we do for your mom and dad for you for a week. Like, why wouldn't you do that? And he's like, oh yeah, you kind of have a point. And then sure enough, we do the trip, right? And we're in the Bahamas, and just before the trip ends, he comes into the galley and he actually gives me a hug and he's like, Brad, I just want to say thank you for that conversation on the plane, because I'm so happy I made these memories with my friends. And that's dude, I almost cried. Yeah. I'm never going to forget those situations that I had with them that will be in my heart forever. Right. And that's what it's about for me.
The level of people we work for. I mean, when you're gone, 9 out of 10, you're gone. We're excommunicated. It's just because of all the handlers that are around protecting, their own money stream. I've been fortunate enough to stay close with one or two of mine that, I still go to Nantucket and go clamming with them, things like that, which is, I look up to this man dearly, and the kids. So it's what we're exposed to is very spectacular if you can take it in our level. And knowing that you are the help.
100%.
You're experiencing things that, not even half of 1% ever sees. I came from a good family, a little bit of foresight on summer homes and things like that. But this is a whole nother level. Yeah. That's why I was always good at it, I think, because I was brought up in country clubs and I knew how to chew my food.
I too was a member of a golf and country club when I was younger. My dad did that for a couple of years. My father was able to facilitate things for my brothers and I that not everyone could have. We had season tickets to football, hockey, and baseball. This is huge things for me. We went to the theater. We went to nice dinners. So I had this knowledge of how to act and be proper.
Right.
Maybe not the full classes on it, but I knew what to be expected. And going into the yachting industry, I understood: speak when you can, know when to listen,
yes,
know when to walk out of the room because you're no longer needed. There's nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
Do your job well and build the relationships with people, because you never know down the line. For example, that young man one day is going to own the empire. And you never know what could happen one day down the line. Maybe I have a child that wants to get on a yacht and he now owns a yacht. And I'm like, hey, do you remember blah, blah? There you go.
Right.
Never know what can happen in the future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well said.
Well, Owen, as always, our conversations on the Life Choices podcast go rather quickly. I want to say thank you very much for coming and talking to us about ODP. For any yacht chefs out there that are watching us, all of Owen's information will be down below on how to contact him, his company, the provisioning. Thank you so very much for coming here to the Life Choices podcast today and chatting with me. I'm so glad that we have a business friendship growing into a friendship. I look forward to many years of working with you and hopefully talking with you more than once on the podcast. I'd love to have you back for more episodes.
We'll take it to our next time. This was very PG.
Okay, fair enough. We'll get into like the stories, the behind the scenes type stuff.
Have to change the names
and
dates.
Yeah. For all of my lifers out there that keep coming back every week, every season, thank you so much for your support. I love it. I love seeing the growth that we're having here at the Life Choices podcast. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. We will see you back here next week on the Life Choices podcast. Much love.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now about the journey. Life Choices podcast.